One state has decided that enough is enough and that they need to end the federal rental assistance program. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's covering the federal rental assistance program. So obviously, after the pandemic and after all the eviction moratoriums, the government stepped in there and said, hey, we're going to be passing out this emergency rental assistance to help make landlords whole again because we're not allowing them to evict tenants. At least that's what they claimed, okay? But my personal belief is that they were trying to set up a socialist system to get people dependent on government money to pay all of their bills. And, next thing you know, we're going to be just drowning in socialism everywhere. So, I thought that the rental assistance program as a temporary measure might have been a good idea, but with the government, nothing is temporary. They want to extend this as long as possible and, get people addicted to that government money, get addicted to, the government paying their bills for them so that they can pass more socialist policies. Next thing you know, we're going to be like freaking USSR, okay? But, sorry, I'm on a tangent here. Anyway, the state of Mississippi has decided, hey, enough is enough. We're not doing this anymore, okay? We're done with the rental assistance program. We're not going to be accepting any more applications. The tenants who, were using it, they need to go get jobs. They need to pay their own bills. And we need to get back into the normal system where a tenant uses their income to pay their own rent. Okay, we don't need the tenant or the landlord being dependent upon the government for operations to pay their bills or to get paid. Okay, that's ridiculous. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? What do you think of states ending these federal rental assistance programs, okay? Do you think this is a good idea or do you think this is a bad idea? Now, obviously, I want to make it very clear. Yes, I have received federal rental assistance money for my tenants who are not paying rent, okay? And I've covered this in other videos before. I've had tenants who owed me money and they applied for emergency rental assistance here in the state of Nebraska. And guess what? I got paid. It was very nice, that I was able to recover that money from the tenant. The tenant wasn't able to, didn't have to be evicted. However, let me say this right now, okay? If me losing that rental money means that I don't become dependent upon the government, then I would rather have not received a single dime, okay? Simply put, being dependent upon the government to, pay me my rental income, that is a bad position to be in. The government can cut, their funding to you at any moment in time, or, they can make you do things that you don't want to have to do, because you're taking their money. And that's not where I want to be, okay? Simply put, I want to be able to run my business based upon the principles of the free market, which is, supply, demand, I'm offering a service or basically rental service. I'm offering housing for someone at a rate they deem to be, a good value, and they're willing to buy that service from me. And, not based on, hey, well, the government's giving me free money, so I'm gonna, no. If you can't afford something, you cannot expect the government to take care of you for the rest of your life. I mean, that's what, it's kind of like a culture of, where the government is your parents and taking care of you, paying for your food with food stamps, paying for your housing with Section 8 or with emergency rental assistance, paying for all, taking care of you. And then it creates people who are complacent and lazy, unmotivated, unwilling to work. And how long before that truly starts to affect, the entire country, okay? We need people to work. We need people to, work hard and make our country a better place. We don't need a whole bunch of people laying on their backs, doing nothing because the government is taking care of them. And that's what these programs are creating. Oh man, I'm very passionate about this because I am so against socialism. I am so against, the communism, socialism, and, government overreach and, big government stuff that has been going on ever since the beginning of the pandemic. And I'm glad to see that there is a state where, the governor of this state agrees with me. Wish it was my state, Anyway, let's get into it. This article is coming from MississippiToday.org, and it says, Governor Tate Reeves halts federal rental assistance, says it incentivizes not working. And I agree. But let's get into the article and see what it says. Governor Tate Reeves on Wednesday said he's pushing back on the left by pulling Mississippi out of a federal pandemic rental assistance program and plans to send any unspent dollars back to Washington. Reeves said Mississippi's economy is booming. Unemployment is at a record low, and the rental assistance program has been incentivizing people to stay out of the workforce by offering up to 15 months of rental and utility bill assistance. There is a job available for virtually every Mississippian who wants to work, Reeves said at a press conference on Wednesday. These socialist experiment programs being pushed from Washington are cruel, like a bookie offering free cash but never mentioning the downside. Yeah, and I agree with him, okay? This is a socialist experiment from the far left-leaning politicians in Washington, okay? And they took advantage of the situation when the pandemic occurred to push as many socialist policies as they could. And, we're seeing the results right now with just unbelievable inflation, and we might see the economy just get completely screwed up for who knows how long because of all this nonsense. I just heard today that the Senate passed some ridiculous boondoggle of a bill, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, pushing all their ridiculous policies. And, I get so sick of hearing about it. There's never a talk about, hey, maybe we need to spend less money. Maybe we need to, reel in all this spending because this might be what is causing the inflation. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, when you think about Mississippi, you don't think of a state that is very wealthy. Okay. In fact, Mississippi is known to be one of the poorer states in the entire country. But at the same time, we don't need people who are dependent upon the government anywhere, okay? That is not going to help poverty within the state. In fact, the only thing it's going to do is help perpetuate that poverty, okay? It'll create more people who don't want to work and are dependent on the government, the more of these systems that we have in place. And that's why I agree with this governor, even though he is the governor of one of the poorest states in the entire country. Advocates who help people with rental assistance said Reeves' decision will hurt Mississippians, many of whom are working but struggling to pay all of their living expenses. This is not a good day, said Gwen Bowie Haynes, the executive director of the National Association of Social Workers, Mississippi chapter, which has helped residents sign up for the program. This will result in more people living on the street in Jackson and across the state of Mississippi. Well, the thing is, right, and this is something that a lot of people haven't really talked about, but long term, what is the plan? Okay, they knew, that this was an emergency in the very title. Now, like I said, their plan was to make this thing extended as long as possible, maybe even write the rental assistance permanently in the law. So, but the way it was originally looked at was, hey, this will be a temporary thing. And when are these people, when are they not going to be in trouble? When are they not going to be in financial trouble? How long do we need to help people with rental assistance before they should have been able to get up on their feet? Okay. If you're telling me that, hey, I lost my job 3 years ago and you still haven't gotten a job yet, you still haven't, gotten back on your feet yet, and you still need more government handouts, well, something's wrong there, okay? That's why we need strict limits on this kind of stuff, okay? If you're going to have these type of social programs, you have to have strict limits. And with the majority of the issues with the pandemic being over, there's no lockdowns anymore. There's no mask mandates. There's no vaccine mandates, and Mississippi is a very, conservative state. They are more pro-business than a lot of these left-leaning states. And so there are jobs available for the people there, okay? So they need to get up, they need to get back to a normal, and they need to stop depending on the government to take care of them. Reeves' office said the program has about $130 million remaining. How much will be returned to Washington will not be known until all the obligations are met. The COVID-19 Federal Rental Assistance Program started in 2020 with the first round of pandemic funding for states and continued last year with a subsequent funding program. Mississippi was allocated about $340 million in assistance. Reeves said Wednesday that the state has spent about $200 million. He said that 86,146 people applied for the program and that 36,889 were approved for assistance. So yeah, they've helped a lot of people, okay? But the program's temporary, so it needs to end. The governor is right. Send the extra money back if they're not going to be spending it. And we're going to get back into a cycle of, hey, if this person is not paying their rent, the government's not going to be there to help them. They need to figure it out on their own or move along to somewhere they can afford, okay? There's no reason for landlords to become dependent upon government assistance or tenants to become dependent upon government assistance.